Thanks for watching. Today we're taking a look at the Vanquish Products VRD Mullet. This is my first VRD, my first competition type of chassis, crawler, trail truck, whatever you want to call it, from Vanquish Products. But I also think that it is the most exciting one that they have released so far. As it says on the box, it is business in the front and it is a party in the rear. We will go over what that actually means in this video. Also in this video, we're going to paint this body and we're going to take it out for a spin to see how it actually performs. I will tell you what I liked about building it and a couple of snags that I ran into, because there are a few points that I thought I need to kind of address in this video in case you want to build one of your own that you need to pay a bit of attention to. And apart from that, we're just going to have fun with this build, put it together, really not care about turning this into a realistic looking body, but most of all just have fun, because I think that that's truly what this thing is about. Also tell you what wheels and tires I ended up putting on here, and of course all of the electronics that I selected for this build. Well, let's kick it off. Business in the front and party in the rear. What does that mean? It means that you have a straight axle in the front and then you have a portal axle in the back. That of course makes for a whole lot of variation when it comes to setup in overdrives, and also it makes for a very performance oriented chassis as it is right out of the box. In the front you will see the Vanquish Products F10 straight axle with 49 degrees of steering throw. In this case there is an axle mounted servo, so the servo, rather than sitting inside of the frame rails, as you would see it for example with the VS410, in this case it sits on top of the axle, keeps everything a bit more planted and also brings that weight down to where you really want to have it. In the back you will find the Vanquish Products F10 portal axle. There's a little reduction going on inside of those portal boxes, and apart from that it is a tiny bit wider than the front axle. That also means that you do have to keep that into account when you start ordering and assembling your wheels, because you need to have some hubs that are a tiny bit smaller than your front hubs in order to end up with axle width that is the same for the entire truck. So keep that in mind. The low entrance or the high entrance pinion gear in this case has turned into a low entrance pinion gear, just because you don't really lose out any clearance with the setup that way anyway, and I think they have done this to reduce any type of torque twist. Really curious to see how this thing will perform. Of course then, taking those drive shafts going up to the front, you will see that this all ends up inside that VRD Carbon spec transmission case. So nothing over here with servos, with selectable overdrive, those type of things. This is a very simple, basic, but very high spec transmission with a 21% overdrive from the top of my head. I'm pretty sure I have that right. With the portal boxes and the reduction that you have in the back for those portal axles, or for that portal axle, you will end up with a 34% overdrive total, which is pretty insane for a truck that is right out of the box spec'd like this. Inside of that VRD Carbon transmission case you will also find all machined gears, you will find the aluminum bearing carriers, you will find an aluminum motor mount, you will find an aluminum spur gear carrier, and of course your motor will sit as low as possible. 540 size motor. In this case I selected a Castle Slate motor combined with a Mamba X ESC, and all of this goes together flawless. The only thing I recommend you doing before you close up the spur and you cover it up with the spur and pinion cover is leave that off for a tiny bit, so you can actually turn the spur around as you are assembling the transmission. You do want to put your pins in that you slide your gears over, and in some cases if you have already put your spur cover on, that can truly get in the way. The standoffs as well are machined aluminum. There is also a little plateau that you can install instead of this standoff over here for your electronics. I did not find any need to have that, and overall the build quality once you have assembled it is really close to perfect. Two big aluminum frame rails, also two big aluminum floor plates attached to it. One of them then has a strap for your battery, and the other one, I used it in my case to put all of my electronics on. So I'm running a Futaba receiver, a Mamba X ESC, and then up front I'm running a Reefs 422 HD steering servo. All of that connected up to that Futaba, which I'm then running on my Futaba. What is this thing again? Is this a 4PX? Yes, a 4PX. Really nice, super big screen. Feels like television in my hand. Stainless steel links, both top and bottom, front and back. The ones in the back, they are actually bent for extra high clearance. The ones in the top are slightly skinnier than the ones in the bottom, and then you have the upgraded incision rod ends on every single one of those links. Looks really nice, feels absolutely sturdy. You get some stainless steel pivot balls as well, so you don't have to worry about any of this stuff binding up anytime soon. There's two body posts in the front and a singular body post in the rear that attaches to this cross member over here. There's quite a bit of adjustability as well, so in case you mess up those body holes when you ream them, you can still kind of adjust it and move this cab body around in order to get it positioned correctly. We'll get into that body a tiny bit later. I think overall it allows for a very clean setup. The only thing I wish was that this battery strap would not loop through that floor pan over here, because it is a tiny bit prone to getting caught up. Another thing that I would have liked to have seen was perhaps two little nubs or stumps for your battery to stay into place. But this is easily solved by just adding some Velcro to the battery and also to that floor pan to keep stuff from sliding around. I like running a tiny bit of a larger battery pack just because I don't like shifting them out all that much. But if you are a true comp guy, you can imagine that you don't want to run anything bigger than a 1300 milliamp battery inside of this truck. Shocks as well, these are incision shocks, and I'm thinking that these are definitely different from what I have previously experienced from Vanquish, because these shafts took quite a bit of lubing to push them through the hole. So I'm thinking that the rings are a tiny bit tighter, and with that they also seal a bit better. This does not compromise them engaging, so they don't feel sticky at all, but they certainly feel like they will hold their oil a bit better than any of the previous versions. Aluminum bodies, high adjustability of course, and then there are bleeder caps. Everything that you want to have in a high performing shock is there. Of course, in the top there's plenty of adjustability options, so you can mount them in several different positions and tune it to your liking. I think overall it is a super cool concept to have something that is completely focused on hyper performance in comp crawling right out of the box, with that portal axle in the back and a straight axle in the front. Now, what do I have planned for paint? It is of course mullet, so that means party in the back and business in the front. At first I thought that I might go for something that looks very much conservative in the front and then something that looks completely insane in the back, but I'm thinking that we're just going to go completely insane just because, you know, this truck is kind of like a party and it deserves to be celebrated. It also deserves to be seen. So out with all of the conservative thoughts, and we're just going to go a tiny bit crazy on this one. Rather than having any type of stickers on it, I'm thinking that I'm going to perhaps just have some stickers in the front grille, which are these. But apart from that, I don't want to use any stickers, so also these window stickers, I'm not going to use them at all. If you look at this body very much looks like the Vanquish stance body with a couple of differences. One of the differences is the cowl over here on the hood. You can tell that it really angles in and then disappears into the front, and it really comes out and then appears towards the front windscreen, which I really like. This is a cool look. The cowl as well, right in front of the front windscreen, is definitely different than you would see it on the stance body. Along the sides, it's pretty similar, and on the back as well, you of course have this, what do you call it, firewall. It's not really a firewall because it's in the back, but in case you have a fire in the back, this would also act as a firewall, I guess. So you have that, and yeah, I don't know, just looks cool. I think they did a good job on it. I also want to have a paint job that kind of combines well with these wheels. These are the BBW wheels. This is not the BBW like I love them, but this actually means battle-born wheels. So I'm pretty sure that other people as well have those searches highlighted in their internet browser. But I'm a huge BBW fan also of these wheels, and these copper bronze toned wheels look really nice, and I want to make sure that that appears somewhere in the paint scheme as well. If you look close at the paint scheme, oh, I completely forgot to tell you, but I also have some Yokohama Geolandar tires. Super sticky compound. These will not look this nice for long the minute I take them out in the forest. These are 4.75s. It is of course a 1.9 setup. In the back, these wheel hubs are a tiny bit narrower than they are in the front, just to make sure that that offset is correct front to back. All right, that was all I needed to tell you. If you look at this logo, that Mullet logo, it is really cool. It's very angular. It is also something that I do want to have it on the side, but I also want to have it a tiny bit, I don't know, superimposed or warped or at least distorted. So the way that I put it on there is tiny in the back and then big in the front. Kind of the opposite of what you have going on with the axle setup. And then I also made sure that it has some depth to it. You will see that later. This is all free-handed with masking tape. It's really not that difficult. I'm not using any of the window masks either, so all of this stuff is just regular 3M masking tape, a blade, tiny bit of patience, a cup of coffee. Takes you a really long way in order to get a paint scheme done. There's a Vanquish logo in the back, which I also wanted to highlight. So that one as well I cut out, and then I put a Vanquish Products logo on the top, along with half the V from Vanquish. I'm not sure, this is not my cleanest cut work ever, but then again, this thing will most likely tumble off a cliff before this day is over, so we're not too bothered with it. If you want to see a really clean paint job afterwards, I still have my stance body to paint up as well, so I'm gonna get another chance over there. What I did with all the windows is I did cut a bead around them, just so I have like a glue line or like a rubberized line afterwards. And then in the front, I really didn't take that much care of it either, just because there's a really nice distinct line going on around the front windscreen that I can cut afterwards and paint on the outside. We will get to all of that stuff later. Why does it look like a mess? That's because I put a ton of strips of ripped tape over the body, over the inside of the body, just to make sure that I can have a tiny bit of like a zebra or like a party effect going on before I two-tone this body with the main body color. After we have that done, I'll peel all of that stuff, and then we just have the logos left to fill in. All right, I think I just need to pick a color and put on that first layer of paint. Stay tuned.
But you really stand out against the light of faces.
Alright, so far I got the backing color on. This was quite a few steps, nothing complicated, because since it is a party, we're just having some fun with it. What I did is I did rip some strips of masking tape like this. So if you have 2-inch wide masking tape like this was before, because this is ripped from this, you just rip it lengthwise like this, and you use these strips that have 2 ripped edges, so on both sides. Put them on your table, and then you collect enough to cover the part of the body that you actually want to use this technique on. And in this case, I did it over the entire body since it is a party. What you then do is you put your first backing color on. So that can be a contrasting color compared to what you're going to do later. Or what I did, you just change the order a tiny bit. So I started out with a smoke on the top, then I did a translucent pink in the bottom, a translucent purple above that, and then I backed everything with a purple metallic. That's what I did. After that, I took these strips off very carefully, leaving them attached on one side, just to avoid displacing them too far, because you do want to have that ripped edge corresponding with what you're going to do later. But you take it off very carefully, and then you just push it away from your edge like 2 millimeters. So you shift your entire taping pattern 2 millimeters to one side. Once you've done that, you come in with a contrasting color. So in this case, I picked a cherry red and also a fluorescent pink. And by combining those two, that's why I have these little lines that you see over here. When I did that, after that was dry, because I just put it on my lamp to give it some time to kind of cure. After that, I took those strips of tape off again, pushed them to the other side of what I had just done, pressed it down again, and I gave it the same pass with the same cherry red. So that's how I ended up with these ripped lines with 2 shades of pink. I also have an old can of purple metallic that kind of sputters. This is usually a can of paint that I would not use, but since this is a party and I want it to look a tiny bit like, perhaps like a night sky, perhaps like, I don't know, something like something funny like a starry sky or an explosion, something along those lines. It doesn't really matter. So I just splattered some paint over what I had then peeled, because at that point I had everything uncovered, and then came in with a smoke again, in this case in the bottom, came in again with a translucent pink, then also put some lame flake on, backed it with a purple metallic, and then finished it up with a white just to make sure that it pops a tiny bit. What I currently have left to do is window frames, the cowl, and also of course the Vanquish lettering on the top and the Mullet lettering on the side, along with then that Vanquish logo on the back. I'm thinking that I'm going to use that cherry red for the Vanquish Products logo that I have going on the top, just also to stay a tiny bit true to the colors used on the box art. And on the side I want to have something that is a bit copper shaded, maybe even a champagne anodized aluminum, just to have it, I don't know, contrast a tiny bit with what else is going on that body. So that's what we're going to do next.
Messing around, calling all you freaks and nerds. You're just missing what you want. My brother's going down the drain, my sister's living the dream, but everybody's singing along. It's okay, we'll all soon be gone. We never really settled the score. Half the town screaming out in vain, the other half is fake, but everybody's singing along. It's okay, we'll all soon be gone. Hey, what's the matter with the bright red lights. Hey, in the moment when the world went blind. But everything's alright, we don't give a damn this time. Yeah! Everyone's a hypocrite. In this game we cannot win. Hey, what's the matter with the bright red lights? Hey, in the moment when the world went blind. But everything's alright, we don't give a damn this time.
Well, that wraps up the paintwork. I'm going to get some sleep. This video will continue, however. This body also needs to cure a tiny bit. Plenty of real estate to actually go around and do something fun with this body. Despite it only being like a half cab, there's plenty of surface to actually get creative with. I really like the shape of the front with that hood section that kind of disappears into the front. The grille is a really fun section as well to paint up. There's no stickers on this whatsoever. I will perhaps put a few stickers inside of the grille, and I think that will be it. It kind of turned out looking like a tie-dye t-shirt, galaxy type of paint scheme. In my opinion, very festive and very much like a party, like a full party, not like business in the front. This one is full party. I used some champagne anodized aluminum around those mullet letters, along with some black, and then I filled the letters themselves in with white, just to stick a bit with the stock sticker scheme. So over here you see the mullet logo. So I kind of modified that, just freehanded it and put it over the side. Also wrapped it over the back a tiny bit, just to pull your eye along the side, and also then towards the back where you also have a Vanquish logo, which I think is really cool. So there's plenty of stuff to be done if you do want to get creative with your paint scheme. This is going to cure. I'm going to get some sleep. It's 11:30 in the evening. Hopefully tomorrow it will be good weather, and then I can give this thing a bit of a shakedown and then give you a full review of this VRD Mullet by Vanquish Products. I'm really giddy with how this turned out so far, and I'm also really keen to start running it tomorrow. All right, stay tuned. The Vanquish VRD Mullet is a heap of fun to drive, not just because it has that 34% overdrive in the front, but of course also because it has the party in the back, so it has that portal axle in the back. Up until now, if you wanted to have a comp truck spec'd like this, you needed to source parts yourself and throw it together, and right now you can just get this Mullet package, just assemble it and you're good to go. You immediately have what I would consider a super competitive truck right from the start. It's of course great that you can just add your own electronics and then after that you are all set to go. So it doesn't really matter if you are just getting started in comp trucking or if you are a seasoned comp trucker already. I think that this VRD Mullet offers a ton of fun for everybody who is looking to get a new comp truck for the next season. This thing is an absolute blast to drive. Hope you found this an informative video. Everything that is on this truck, so whether that's the electronics, the Castle setup, the Reefs steering servo, the Futaba receiver, I'll put that in there as well, or the BBW wheels from Vanquish Products, or those tires. All of the links will be in the video description box for you to check out, along of course with a link to the VRD Mullet, which you can find on the Vanquish Products website. I will be charging another battery and taking this thing out for a few more runs because this body is still way too clean looking and this truck is way too much fun to just put it on the shelf somewhere. Right, take care. I will see you in the next video. Have fun. Bye-bye.
Back on.